The train rumbled through the darkness. A single steel serpent slithering its way through an endless night. Martin, a disillusioned commuter, slouched in his seat, his briefcase leaning against his legs like a loyal dog. The train was sparsely occupied. The other passengers sat in silence, their faces illuminated sporadically by dim, flickering overhead lights. He checked his watch. It was 11:47 p.m. and he couldn't remember boarding the train. The last thing he recalled was stepping off a curb into a puddle, a momentary splash, and then nothing. A faint announcement crackled over the intercom. The words were indecipherable, like a garbled whisper from some distant place. The train slowed, the grinding of its brakes reverberating through the carriage. Outside, the world was obscured by thick fog that pressed against the windows like curious hands. The doors opened, and a man stepped aboard. His face was hidden beneath the brim of a hat, and his black trench coat flowed like smoke behind him. He glanced around before taking the seat directly across from Martin. "You're not supposed to be here," the man said. His voice was calm, yet it cut through the murmurs of the train like a blade. Martin blinked. "What do you mean?" Quote. The man leaned forward, his shadow stretching unnaturally across the floor. "You've missed your stop. This train doesn't run for you anymore." Martin laughed nervously. "I think you've got the wrong guy." The man didn't respond. Instead, he opened his coat and pulled out a pocket watch, holding it up for Martin to see. The hands spun backward, ticking in reverse, faster and faster. "Time here doesn't move forward," the man said, his voice growing quieter with every word. "Not for us." Martin glanced out the window. The fog had begun to part, revealing flashes of what looked like his own life. A child's swing set, a red bicycle, a small gray house with a broken porch. He felt a pull, like an invisible hand tugging at his chest. "What's happening?" Martin whispered. "This train," the man said, "is a loop. A place for those who lost their way. You stepped off the curb, didn't you?" Quote. The memory surged back, sharp and cold. The puddle, the car, the screech of tires and the sudden, shattering impact. "No," Martin muttered, shaking his head. "No, that's not." Quote. The man's pocket watch chimed. A hollow, mournful sound. He stood and tipped his hat. "You can't stay. The last station is coming." As the train lurched forward, the lights dimmed further. Martin's fellow passengers were fading now, their faces blurring into unrecognizable shapes. He felt himself slipping too, his hands and feet tingling as though they no longer belonged to him. Through the window, the fog gave way completely, revealing a vast, empty platform. A sign hung crookedly over it. The words, "Last Station," scrawled in uneven, glowing letters. The train stopped, its doors opening for the final time. Martin stood, his body moving without his consent. The man in the trench coat watched him, silent now, as he stepped out onto the platform. The train pulled away, vanishing into the darkness. Martin turned and saw a mirror standing alone in the middle of the platform. In its reflection, he was whole again, a younger, unburdened version of himself. He stepped closer, and the mirror rippled like water. His reflection extended a hand, inviting him in. Martin hesitated, then took the hand. The platform dissolved around him, leaving only silence. The train would rumble on, its loop unbroken, searching for the next lost soul.